Hey everybody, it's Ryan here. Welcome back to the channel. This is me brainstorming actually, so I'm not quite sure where this video is going to go, but I have some thoughts in my head that I want to kind of go over here in a recorded format. It's more of me just kind of whiteboarding and brainstorming a bit here. I've been thinking a lot about acute call dispositions, acute discovery call and meeting dispositions, and acute demo and meeting dispositions. And what I mean by that is actually hard coding this stuff into whatever sales enablement or CRM product that you're using on the front lines as BDRs and as sellers. It's not enough just to say call complete, meeting completed, and then just update a bunch of notes and expect the business stakeholders like heads of product, marketing, etc., to go into the CRM and actually extract all of the notes that you logged, either using an AI-based product or notes that you logged manually post conversation. So what I like to do, and I want to start to implement this more and more, is actually hard code those dispositions. Literally make them drop-down selections that anyone who's either making cold calls and booking meetings, running discovery calls, maybe it's the rep, it's the account executive, maybe it's the sales engineer, maybe it's a combination of both. And then of course, as meetings progress and demos and you start to move through the sales process and you're having live conversations with people, what can we do to capture through a drop-down format acute definitions or dispositions? Now, in order for this exercise to be successful, in order for this endeavor to be successful, you will have to go to the heads of each department and literally ask them questions. Hey, what are the dispositions or data points that I can capture while having live conversations with prospects and customers that I can easily get to you in a digestible format that you can take action on? Are these quantifiable things that I'm capturing for you? And if so, what do you need me to capture? So once you have those conversations, you can then go into acute call dispositions. Now this can simply be for something as simple as like your cold calls, right? So these can be cold calls that you're making. It could be follow-up calls, right? So it could be anything, a combination of either. But let's say that they are cold calls. Let's take a step back. So they're cold calls, and people sometimes say, left message is like the most common one, or not interested. So you make a call, someone says, I'm not here, leave a message, you leave a message. Or you talk to someone and they say, I'm not interested, and you just log it as not interested. Or maybe things like bad number or bad contact data, right? That happens too. But what happens if you do talk to somebody and they're like, yeah, sounds great, let's take a meeting? Well, someone's going to say, qualified, booked meeting, right? Who is that helping? Think about that. What out of these four choices, what can you actually take away and go deliver to someone in the business and say, hey, I got some quantifiable data here for you that I think would be of value? None of this is. But what if, while on the phone, someone says, I'm not interested, and you, as the person, say, why not? Some people can say, I'm just not interested. Not interested. Bad timing. Okay, but why not? Now, maybe you start to hear things like, not the right person. How does this help? Because that's not your ICP. That's not your buyer. You thought calling heads of IT were who you want to speak to, or who you thought you had hypothesized would be your ICP. But if you start capturing not the right person over and over and over again for a specific job title, eventually you have to come to the conclusion that we're calling the wrong person. Our product or service does not have a direct impact on that individual, therefore they're not interested. Keep it really simple. Okay, cool. I'm not interested. You ask again, why not? I'm leaving the company. Now this is really granular, but someone could tell you, oh, this is my last 2 weeks with the organization. Great. Where are you headed to next? Can you capture something like that? I'm not interested. Why not? We have a product in place already. Okay, what is it? Now, someone says it's fill in the blank product. That product happens to be your competitor. Hopefully your front end frontline rather, SDRs and BDRs are equipped to hear a competitor's name through some kind of battle card and have an initial response. Wow, that's great that you're using that product. I've heard great things about them. However, we actually do something that they do not, and I believe it's a shortcoming for them. Now, that is negatively speaking about your competitor, or you can reframe it and say, okay, that's great that you have that product. They're a very good tool. I've heard great things about them. However, we do a couple of things that they don't, and I do believe that if you were to look into them, learn more about them, examine them, have a conversation with me about them, you might notice some significant differentiators that when it comes time to reevaluate what you're using, you might want to think of us as an option or a displacement for what you're using. So you have to capture what they're using if you can. That's huge information, because if you're talking to the right person, they're telling you what they're using, that information can now get back to marketing, product, and leadership. And as those numbers stack up, hey, I made 100 calls, 5 told me that they're using the following product. Okay, you're starting to hear about a competitor a lot more, and that can be important. But that allows your leaders to then say, okay, hey, we're getting this a lot on the phone. They're using fill-in-the-blank competitor. We got to be ready for this one. Because what you're going to find is a lot of reps early on, SDR specifically, when they hear that a product is being used that is their competing product, they're going to just say, okay, thanks for letting me know. Good luck with that. So try to dig in. If someone hangs up on you, that's fine. So that is an example of acute call dispositions. It can be not interested, or it could be I'm not the right person. They're leaving the company. We have a product already. Okay, great. What is it? So these are actually acute call dispositions, or examples of what I would define as an acute call disposition. Now, this is just for cold calling, outbound biz dev work. There's going to be other acute call dispositions, but they are applicable to your business and to your customers, right? So there's not like a set template for this. That's why you have to go around and interview the heads of each department and ask them, listen, if I'm making 100 phone calls a day, what is something that if I heard it would matter to you and help you do your job effectively? What would help us move the business forward in the right direction? Now, let's move on to acute discovery call meeting dispositions. What you're going to find is a lot of reps will say, meeting completed, right? It could be, meeting completed. You could say, going to trial, ask for pricing, right? These are, hey, the meeting just ended. You might have a category called result disposition of the meeting. What happened? Meeting completed. A lot of people put that, and then they, by default, go into the notes section and you start loading up all the notes on the meeting. That's great, but that's time consuming for your heads of fill-in-the-blank department to go back, read, and digest, and it's even harder for you to collect that information and get that over to somebody quickly so they can actually see what happened and how many times it's happening. We're looking for like repeat statistics or repeat metrics that we can say, okay, hey, that's happening a lot, so let's focus on that. So how do we do that? Well, we have to capture this stuff. So we can't say meeting completed or going to trial and ask for pricing. That's not enough. It's got to be something much, much more than that. So depending on what you want to get from a discovery call, we are going to have to make sure that we create custom post-discovery or call meeting dispositions that are going to be very, very specific. What are some examples of that? Well, they ask for pricing, right? So you can say they ask for pricing, but you might want to not really include that as part of a disposition. Going to trial, that's more of like a next step. Meeting complete is just an updated disposition. We want to be much more specific. So what would be a good example of that? It was a discovery call. How was it? It could be meeting completed plus qualified. Now, qualified could be what? Well, the meeting was booked for me by a BDR. So now we got to say plus BDR qualified. So that's great. So that tells me, okay, meeting was completed. The BDR qualified. The BDR gets credit. That's fantastic. It could be meeting completed, opportunity stage 1. And that could be, okay, so the meeting was completed. Let's move into another opportunity stage. I can see that is what happened in that conversation. So meeting completed, op stage 1. Meeting completed. Plus pain identified. Meeting completed. DM needs to be identified. A DM being the decision maker. Now again, I'm just freestyling here, throwing a bunch of ideas on a board with you right now, but I'm trying to get you to be a little more thoughtful, right? Dig into this stuff, think analytically, and maybe this is not a fit for your business. Maybe you want to keep it simple. I don't think you should. I think the granularity at the drop-down level is going to set the foundation and the tone for everything you do going forward. It's going to make the entire sales process a lot easier for you, especially from like a predictability and a forecasting standpoint, and also updating your heads of product marketing, engineering, et cetera, sales, all that good stuff, maybe even finance. So as you know, in most systems that you have, let's say like an Apollo.io, these are very easy to build out, but these also can initiate triggers. So if you were to update a specific meeting completed BDR qualified, you could have a series of 3 triggers happen immediately. The BDR gets credit, automatically marked BDR qualified meeting, bam, that's in their report. Finance appreciates that because they can run calculations on commissions a lot easier. Your sales manager or BDR managers appreciate that because then they can coach against that stuff and go back and say, hey, wow, you have a lot of BDR qualified meetings. What's going on here? Let's dig in and see what's going on here. So a lot of folks within the business can be impacted by something like this. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense, and that's somewhat helpful for you, and will get you to kind of think a little bit more about what you want to do there. And lastly, I want to touch on acute demo meeting dispositions. So these are really, really important because oftentimes you're going to be on a meeting where you are either with someone that's supporting you like a sales engineer, or you are actually going through a technical demonstration or just a product overview of the product. And there's going to be multiple stakeholders that are on that call from the buyer side, or maybe it's just a one-on-one demo. But just to say something as simple as demo completed is simply not enough. And you're going to see this a lot, demo completed plus qualified. Like, what does that even mean, right? That's not enough. When instead, I think what would really help a lot of us out there that are doing this is that we can say, demo completed plus prospect sentiment is positive. And again, I'm just spitballing here. So what does that mean? Prospect sentiment positive. It means that the demo was completed and the sentiment from the prospect was overall positive. You can get even more granular than that. Demo completed, strong use case for, now what is it? Let's say you sell a forecasting product or a financial planning analysis product, a security product. So strong use case for, if you're in IT security, you can say quarterly pen test. Bam. So rep did a demo, strong use case for quarterly pen test. Rep does 20 demos a month on average. 5 of those are a good candidate for quarterly pen tests. That information is highly valuable. That person can go into a marketing bucket and start receiving only content curated for pen tests that are done quarterly to meet compliance issues, regulatory checks, whatever it may be. So that's one area that you can focus on, or one disposition you can do. Demo completed. Okay. Next meeting with DMs. That means that you had a meeting, and maybe it wasn't with your economic buyer. Maybe it was just with someone who's an end user. Maybe someone you're trying to convert into a champion or build up to be a champion, whatever that may be. But demo completed plus next meeting with DMs, right? Demo completed, highly interested in a trial. Maybe you do POCs. Like, do you see what this does? Now, if you're a sales manager like I am, when I can look at this stuff and run a quick analysis and report, I can start to put in a graphical format all of these call dispositions, and I can actually take a look at the health scorecard of all of our activities and efforts. It's not enough to just go to the business and say, we did 25 demos last month. Yeah, okay, but what does that mean? We did 25 demos last month, but 6 of them require us to have another meeting with the decision makers. We're not there yet. We did 7 meetings, but they were highly interested in the trial and maybe doing a POC. We did 8 demos, and the prospect sentiment was positive. Now, how do you quantify that? That might be a little bit vague, but we can work on that. But where I'm going with this is that the current default format that comes with your sales enablement software, your CRMs, it's not enough. The business cannot make decisions rapidly based on those default inputs and outputs. You as a business have to go around collectively, department by department, and this does not matter. It doesn't matter the size of your business either. You could be an early stage startup. You could be a 50+ person employee company. You could be 300 employees. If you have a sales organization or you're selling a product, the earlier you can start to put this stuff into place, the better off you're going to be. Otherwise, you're going to make progress as an organization. You're going to go from 1 to 10 million and then find that you're going backwards and trying to kind of unpack and sort all this stuff out. This information captured early on and captured often will 100% help you in being able to make critical decisions into the future. So let me know what you think. As you can see here, I'm going to start to go in through segmentation of accounts that that account executives own, import do not call lists, call scripts based on use case, and of course email templates. Those are other pieces of the puzzle or the pie or the methodology, process, and format, whatever you want to call it, that we can put into sales enablement software and also your CRM. So let me know what you think. A little bit of a rough draft here, but let's start to think more about acute call dispositions, acute discovery call meeting dispositions, and acute demo meeting dispositions. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Thanks.